Are you surprised by these numbers? Because this is not what we've been told so far.
Sadly, I'm not surprised by these numbers. I think the administration, in some sense, set itself up for this moment of reckoning. Because if you look at the briefings they were giving during the course of the war, they were very much focused on the launch rate of the Iranians, how many missiles they were getting up each day, how many drone attacks they were conducting. And I had warned at the time that launches is not a particularly good metric for understanding what kind of capability and capacity your adversary has, because they simply may be choosing to only put a certain number up every day. And I fear that's exactly what has happened, is that they've retained significant capability and capacity, and particularly as they've dug out these facilities.
If they have restored operational access to 30 of the 33 missile sites that it maintains along the Strait of Hormuz, clearly the strait will not be reopening anytime soon. Kelly, what do you make of this?
No, I think that's exactly right, and that it will not be reopening anytime soon unless there's some kind of diplomatic deal. What this suggests is that there's two big threats here, I would say, regarding the Strait of Hormuz. One is certainly the missile and the drone threat, and it's clear that that has not been effectively suppressed. And then the other is these small attack boats, and that also has not been effectively suppressed. So while the administration focuses on sort of the big, more traditional metrics of Iranian military power, saying it's sunk the Navy, it's fighters a lot have largely been destroyed. What really matters is this asymmetric set of capabilities that we've not been as effective in suppressing, and that still pose a big danger to the strait itself.
Yeah. So 2 questions for you. Take them in whichever order you want. How has Iran managed to restore operational access to missile launchers, missile sites that we thought we had destroyed? And 2, where did all the new missiles come from, or were they hiding them?
Yeah, I mean, my sense is that a lot of this is that we actually didn't destroy things as much as we buried it. Iran has made extensive sort of underground missile cities, if you will. These, facilities that are in concrete, they're very deeply underground, and they can move launchers and missiles underground this way. And from the reporting, what we've seen is that it looks like the United States, rather than relying as extensively on these bunker busting bombs that would allow you to really destroy the facilities, instead, it actually prevented access to the facilities. So it's going after the entrances to these tunnels. And so as you can imagine, as soon as the ceasefire is hit, the Iranians have been back digging themselves out. And so once they're able to dig their way through these entrances, they can now access the launchers they couldn't previously use, the missiles that may have been stored there. And I think that has a lot to do with it, combined with the fact that as we go more carefully back through in the intelligence and look at our battle damage assessment, we might realize that things that we thought we had actually destroyed, that was not actually correct, and that more things have survived.
Wow, this is remarkable. It does make one wonder if it's possible at this point to avoid a re-engagement. If this is the status on the strait, the U.S. needs to begin striking again, right? And to your point, with bunker busting bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think we need to really take this in probably a slightly different way, and that, we've already thrown quite a bit of capability at them. We've used up a lot of munitions at this point, and this is the best we've achieved. And so the question I would have is, if we resume an air campaign, what are we going to achieve? Are we actually going to meaningfully achieve something that would allow for the reopening of the strait? And the evidence suggests that's probably not the case, and that we'd actually just be digging a bigger munitions hole for ourselves. I think the reality here is that, this is one reason that the Iran war was always very risky, was this Strait of Hormuz, and that we probably need to solve this in a more diplomatic way. And the biggest question the administration has to ask itself is really, what kind of risks does it want to run long term? Because the more we're going to use up munitions here and interceptors for air and missile defense, it's not going to be available for years. And that's very serious, years in the Indo-Pacific or Europe.
Wow. Is it possible that Iran is re-upping with China or some other provider of missiles, or were these already in country?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say entirely. It seems like they probably were already in country. It seems the Chinese have been playing a more careful game, if you will, of providing some material support for the Chinese but doing it, under the cover of dual use. So components, things like that. There was some reporting that they might send, air defense systems, and it seems like the administration spoke with the Chinese, and that likely didn't happen. So my sense is that they're probably not providing direct materials, military support to the Iranians, but that they've been helping them with the components that are needed to make these kinds of missiles and drones.